What up, folks? Man, it's been a while since we shot A Merely Misunderstood, bro. And I just felt like it was no better way to shoot one than to shoot it with my boy. I don't know what he called himself. I remember him as Lil Sprab, but he ain't Lil no more. So some places he go by his government, but what I do know is my guy launched a podcast called Therapy. And I think that Therapy and Merely Misunderstood has some opportunity to have some really great conversations.
Yes.
And so I'm not gonna give a formal introduction. We're gonna just dive in and then you'll get to know us as the conversation just get to kicking.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. So bro, we have definitely matured and grown. We've been knowing each other since I was laughing because on my way up here today, I kept saying, God, like take me back to like the initial. And I can tell you, it was when we used to drag that basketball goal to the middle of the street on Lake Charles and shoot basketball out there on the court. I say so. And then our life went through like a pause where we weren't around each other as much. And then I would say my daughter's getting ready to be 15. So it has been at least 16 or 17 years, right, worth of relationship, right? And so to know and to see where we are now, and then to know who we were and where we were back then, I know that as a man, we have definitely seen growth and maturity. And so in thinking about all of that, one of the key things that jumped to my mind just today in our discussion and thinking about our discussion was like the question, bro, are we there yet? Like, are we the men that we thought we were going to be? Have we arrived to that place yet?
I mean, I don't believe it's like it's no ending when it comes down to growing. I believe that, as a man, bro, it's just a constant thing. You're going to continue to just grow in life. You feel me? It don't never stop. You're going to learn something every day. You're going to learn something new. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah.
I tell you the crazy part for me, though, bro, is I felt like in my growth, the messiest part of my growth and healing as a man was the middle part, bro.
Yeah.
It was that part where, when you were a kid, bro, like life ain't really started lifing yet. But then it's in the middle part where I've looked back at the back end of my life enough now to see some things that went well and some things that went bad, right? And to own some failures, to celebrate some successes, bro, but then to realize to not do those things again, like I need some help, bro. Like just to keep it a book because I need some help because I don't know how to not do those things.
Yeah.
I don't know how to not be that person, right? So clearly started going to therapy. I advocate for that heavily, bro. Like I can't tell you how many and not trying to go into the space of color, but heavily black men, bro, like speaking heavily, hey, bro, you need to consider therapy. It's not
you
a
need
bad
a season
thing.
of therapy.
Facts.
You need a season of therapy.
Facts.
And you're talking about like the messy area of your life. And me, I really believe that when you get caught up in the middle of the mess of the messiest area of your life, it's when it really just first hits you.
Facts. Yeah.
But the messiest is childhood.
Oh, yeah, because that's where you develop.
But you don't you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't see how it's molding you and shaping you and stuff like that, because you got to go back to childhood to be able to fix what's current. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah.
So
and I think I'm just being honest. It depends on how you view family, but for me that journey was the hardest because it made me have to look at the fact that there may have been some things my parents didn't do well. Didn't mean they didn't make them bad parents, didn't make them bad people.
No, because they did it the best they could.
They could, exactly. Yeah. But some people struggle with looking back for fear that to look back means I have to not see mom the same way or see dad the same way. And the reality is what allows me the ability to truly see them in all the facets of their capacity is because by the time I reach the middle, I've begun the journey of becoming what they were as a father, as a husband, right? And so for me, it was, how do I learn from his mistakes and mine, right? Because what's dangerous, and I think you'll agree to this, what's dangerous is we will evaluate our childhood, change things that didn't feel good, right? And get rid of stuff that was of quality just because of how it felt, and then become parents and realize, bro, there was something to why he did that, or my mom was like that, or my dad was like that, and now I done kind of change that up on my kids, and my kids need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that hard discipline sometimes, or that correction, that firm, assertive correction, right? Like, oh, my dad was fuss at us all the time, so I'm not gonna fuss at my kids all the time. And now your kid's bad, but the kid's bad because there was some purpose in spite of the discomfort.
Yes.
So you can't throw it all out. But I'm asking that because on this journey, right? We both have these podcasts where we on TV or on YouTube, places like that.
Yeah.
And the thing I want to say is like what healing actually looks like when it's not social media viral approved. Like, it's not something that's gonna go viral and everybody gonna be like, oh man, you fired for that, right? Like, it's some of the things that I feel like we had to heal from that we couldn't heal on the mic, but we can talk about it on the mic now because we're healed in it.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, what was like, for you? I know what it was like for me, but for you, what was the dark part of healing like?
Man, like a midget running a marathon in my head.
Yeah. I can agree with that, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because bro, it's the mindset is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so many thoughts that's running through. And then you start to realize, like, okay, it's a full-time job trying to stay in a place of peace and maintain yourself, like, really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, stay afloat and really, be able to function after going through so much trauma.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because the trauma just keep building, bro, until you get to a point where it just hits you hard.
Yeah. And I guess the part that's crazy for me too, bro, I guess too, in my healing was the things that were familiar were easier to process. The things that I had never experienced before, those were the things that really took the journey, right? Like, loss wasn't as hard, but questioning your value after loss, whether if it's a loss of marriage, whether if it's loss of friends, loss of relationships, because, on this journey of healing, isolation is a key in it.
Thanks.
And when you isolate, not everybody understands how to process your isolation. Thanks. So some people see your isolation as rejection or like, I'm not fooling with you. And some people see your isolation as, oh, he's so embarrassed about what he's going through. He don't want to be around nobody. But sometimes, bro, for me, the isolation was also the fact that there are some things I need to process that I don't need a second voice. Yeah. Because if I tell you what I'm thinking and you tell me what to think, and this ain't everybody, right? But for me, there was a season in my life when I had a dependent behavior, meaning I needed somebody to tell me if I was right or to tell me if I was wrong. The dangerous part about that is that oftentimes, I'm a faith person, right? So oftentimes people's interpretation of my situation may have been very much different than God's interpretation of my situation. And so I found myself making even worse decisions, taking advice from people who had good intentions, but just didn't have a clear understanding of where I was and what it was I was going through.
Yeah. Well, isolation, bro, it like you said, that's the main part of healing. I feel like that's a must.
Yes.
Because you have to separate yourself from the world to be able to look at yourself.
Facts.
You got to be able to look at yourself and be able to face everything that's coming at you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I tell the same story all the time. Is that I didn't even choose isolation. I was forced into it.
Yeah.
Because it can't be your choice when you have good people around you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People that love you and you know what I'm saying, that really care about you. You gonna answer the phone for these people. These people is gonna come knock at your door.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Real talk. It's some people you can't push away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I was forced into isolation, my job calls for me to, work on the road.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which we both know. I've been doing that for years. But man, when God forced me into isolation, I ain't never had a consistent run on the road like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, God, is you gonna let me come home and enjoy some of this money?
Yeah.
But it was, and I don't want to say it like that, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because once you going through so much stuff, mentally and stuff like that, the main thing that we'll turn to is having a good time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, God, why you won't let me go home and have a good time? You know what I'm saying? You don't let me get back on my feet and stuff like that. But I started to understand in that isolation, bro, it was some things that I needed to understand.
And see, I guess I wish that minds kind of had that state of mind.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. Mine was a depression roll into isolation that then I saw the value in it after I started coming out of it. And I'll tell you what I mean. So it was embarrassment, it was shame of the season that I was in, right? And so then it was I don't want to be on social media because I don't want nobody to know what I'm thinking or what I'm going through. My post ain't gonna be of value. If I post a video, when you look at me, you're gonna see.
You're gonna be able to see it.
You're gonna see the struggle on me. And I tell people all the time, like, just to keep it a book, depression looks different depending on the person.
Yeah.
So I had an interpretation of depression based on the things I saw on TV. That's not what depression was for me. It wasn't sitting on the couch eating bonbons, sad, and eating chips, and it wasn't that. It was work, stay busy, work, find something else to do, right? Invest in your kids, spend time with your kids. I was doing the right things, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
And so then at some point, I hit a crash, and it was like, okay, I need some help. So then I went to therapy, and then my therapist made my season make enough sense for me to be able to, because again, faith guy. So it made enough sense to put me in a position to be able to go to God about it. I couldn't even go to God about it because I was spiraling. Like, I kid you not. Like, in my mind, I was saying to myself, I am the person that everybody calls to fix their situation.
Yes.
And now I got a situation and I'm too embarrassed to call any of the people who I should call or would call or even could call because if I be honest, I saw myself in the light of failure. And I thought I done failed at this season in my life. I done failed at this situation in my life. And now I'm embarrassed. But then in that quiet, isolated moments, it's when like all of those different things that I thought negative about myself, God put me in positions to challenge those thoughts, right? And so in challenging those thoughts, I discovered it wasn't even what I was allowing myself to be tricked into believing it was. It was, okay, this season has ended and you need to end this season. This isn't, you know, like you hear people say all the time, you know, when you read a book, there's an end at each chapter. But if you don't end the chapter, you'll have just a run-on of ideas.
Yeah.
How I saw that season was if I didn't end it as a chapter, it would finish having a narrative in the rest of the book of my life.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to end this. And it's crazy because it's what led me, even when I asked you the question early on in this about are we there yet? That became my
slogan.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because it was like, no matter where I was, I had to embrace this is a moment.
Yeah.
This is a season. And just about the time I figure I've arrived at this final destination, I discover that there is so much more to unpack with where I'm going. And but it took that isolation, bro, to discover that.
It take that.
Yeah, 100%.
And bro, you mentioned depression. Bro, you know what depression looks like for a lot of people? Like a black box. You know, stuck in a black box and don't know what to do, don't know how to come out of it. And in depression, man, I found myself in a place so low where I thought about doing some of the worstest things to myself.
Stuff that you had never even thought of doing to yourself before.
Man, because I've never saw my back against a wall like that.
Yeah.
And I see people all the time. Like you said, man, you can see it on people.
Yep.
And I just want to say is that, man, if there's anybody in there, out there that's going through a state of depression like that, bro, you know, man, talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Try to get you some help because I understand and I've been there. You feel me?
Yep.
And bro, is not a great place at all. You know what I'm saying? And
the quietness
of
that place will lead you to act on some of those thoughts that you should reject.
Yes, bro.
Which is why you gotta find somebody, right?
Yeah.
And again, I think I was blessed also in the fact that I had good people around me that they gave me the space, but when the space appeared that it was becoming toxic, they made it their job to say, Okay, I'm coming to see you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling you.
Yes.
Okay,
and thank God for those people.
It's for real.
Yeah.
Because if you believe that you are above something, it's that thought sometimes that will lead you to fall into that very trap.
Even worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I know what I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can't go to drinking.
Yeah.
My family counting on me.
Yeah.
I know I can't give up on life because my kids, they love their dad. And so for me, it was, I have got to keep moving, right? And not moving in the just in the idea of random motion, but moving with purpose and intentions.
Yeah.
And so in that is when, and so I kid you not, this kind of sets up for the next kind of thing. It was, you know, from your perspective, what's the difference between emotionally mature and masculine performance? I'm gonna keep it simple. What's the difference between beating my chest because I gotta let you know that I'm a man, right? And emotionally growing up enough to know that the truth of the matter is when I arrive to my true element of masculinity and man, right? That it don't require me to keep saying it because you see it in my movements and in my motion.
Bro, true masculinity is found in your calmness.
Yes.
A man, when he's calm, and he's able to say what he got to say, without getting his emotions into it. That is a true form of masculinity. You know, I grew up in a house, bro, with my daddy. You know him. That's how he came off. You know, that was his way of showing that he big dog. You feel what I'm saying? But really and truly, bro, as a man right now today, I see that was the insecurity in my daddy.
And you know, it's crazy. It's dope that you say that, because when I think about my own life, right, I think maturity was a growth that I grew, like real masculinity was a growth that I grew into, right? Because if I be honest, I'm not saying that I was emotional, but if I look at some of the decisions I made them based on an emotion. And that emotion, without true processing and understanding it and seeing it all the way through, what was the demise of me, right? Like, I'll give you an example. There were times when I should have stood up for myself that I sat down on myself. And it had and then here's the thing. After so many times of doing that, then you run into somebody and you give them the frustration of all of those people that did it. And so now you loud. You're toxic. You beating on your chest. I gotta flex, and I'm willing to go all the way, even if it means we gotta get out there and throw hands. I'm willing to go all the way because because the truth of the matter is I've had enough, and it ain't even enough of you. I really have had enough of me and how I've allowed these things to transpire about me that now I'm handling you not emotionally, but I'm handling you from an emotional place.
Bro, let me show you how we also turn that into our relationship. All right. When I talk to other brothers, young men, or whoever, I'll tell them that I don't believe in sleeping with multiple women. Of course, you know, cheating is wrong. But now today, bro, it's so popular.
It is.
You know, I'm talking about
on both sides of the coin. But
on both sides of the coin, it's a thing. But I talk to men. You feel what I'm saying?
No, I got you.
You know, and I tell brothers, I say, bro, if you don't be careful, you sleeping with 3 to 4 women, you're gonna try to take the good part from each one of these women and try to make one. And you gonna you're gonna be unhappy.
Can I keep it a buck? And listen, this is totally off script, but let me keep it a buck. It is the same concept of when you were kids, they tell you stay away from porn, because porn will alter your perception or interpretation of what intimacy is. The problem is if I'm getting the best quality out of each woman that I'm with, and then I'm ready to settle down, and now in my settle down or my slow down, I want the best of all of those women to be in one person. I've created an unrealistic expectation
that don't exist.
Exactly.
It does not exist, bro. It does not.
It made me think of Tyler Perry had a movie way back in the Gap, and when he said the 80-20 rule. Excuse me, and acknowledging that there are people there are people who have left their 80 because they saw 20 the 20 they didn't have.
Yes.
And the problem with that is that you're never going to get the 100.
No.
And the reason is because, if we be honest, the reason is because we are a constant progression of healing and growing and maturing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so in that progression, to be 100 means I'm flawless.
Yes.
But we not.
Yes.
Right? You know, and it makes me even think, and I'm sure you're going to relate to this, it makes me even think, like you look on the internet and you see, just think of the most beautiful woman in the world you can think of. And then you sit down and you have a discussion with her and she'll tell you something she's insecure about within herself. Why are you saying that? Because you need to understand that we all have a flaw.
Yes.
Everybody might not get to see it.
Yeah.
It might not be on display because people are so heightened by my 80 that they don't see the 20.
Yeah.
But there's a dynamic there that could always use some elevation.
See, the 80-20 rule is my thing.
Yeah.
I love the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
I think it is true. I think it's fair. I think that you should live by it.
Yeah.
If you're single and you're dating and you're trying to look for a spouse, I believe that you should be looking in the 80-20 rule. Because for the simple fact is that the 80-20 rule is so real, is that all you got to do when you brush your teeth in the morning, look in the mirror.
Yep.
If you don't look at yourself like 80-20,
yeah,
because 80% of you is good,
yeah,
and 20% of you is bad, bro. Real talk. So don't be going judge other people and trying to look for 100 when you're not that.
You not the 100.
You're not that at all, bro.
Fact.
Real talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, man, I think, bro. First of all, let me tell you this. I didn't expect anything less from the discussion between the two of us, but I feel like it's going in the right direction.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But let me ask you a question.
We do this on a normal basis though.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not in front of the camera.
Yeah, not in front of the camera.
So let me ask you a question, bro. Did you feel pressure to be okay sooner than you were okay?
I can't say that because I can't say sooner because it didn't feel like it happened fast.
Yeah.
Now that I am healed,
I got you.
It feels like okay, because time moves fast, bro. Time keeps going. So in a sense, it makes it feel like okay, I'm here, and it's like I'm over the here.
Yeah.
I'm over the part where I'm here.
Yeah.
But when I first got here, when I first got healed, it was a finally. But it was like in 2 or 3 weeks after being healed, it was like, okay, that's over.
Yeah.
So that's just like, bro, when you buy a toy or buy a new car or something like that, that first week it's over.
Yeah.
But that's why the importance of the lesson is in the trauma, it's in the mud, it's in all of that grimy stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it looked like it takes so long, because God wants you to understand, dog, is that is where the lesson is at.
Yeah, you gotta learn it.
Yeah, I think it's not in the victory.
I think the hard part for me was, if I be just transparent, is because of my role, right, as a preacher, communicator, like all of those things, there was an expectation that you know the information. So because you know the information, apply it, and you'll be good in the next week. You'll be good in the next 2 weeks. You'll be good in a couple of days. But the truth is, the grief of any form of failure, loss, right? It happened. The healing happens in time, over time, because the grief happened over time, right? Like I kid you not. I'll give you a prime example. I could use this one. When I lost my grandparents, the grief was unfamiliar. And so I remember not crying. I remember feeling like I was fine. I was going to be okay. And then the day to go and like to the view the body before the funeral, like that they have the family a little brief view, I couldn't go. And I remember telling my dad, I can't go because there's something telling me if I see them in that box, that'll be the last image that I'm going to have in my mind, right?
Yeah.
But then the day of the funeral, we're at the funeral, we're in the building, and the grief floods me. Because even though I didn't get to see their faces, I know they're in those boxes.
Yeah.
So then the grief hits, then the wave comes back up, then let me show you what happens. One night, I'm on the ride home from PA here, and my phone bings and says that my voice messages are full.
Yeah.
So I'm going through and I'm deleting the voice messages in my phone, and I get to these 2 voice messages, but I don't recognize the number. And I press play, and it was my grandmother. She had left me a voicemail praying for me, and she just left it in my message. And the grief hit all over again, because it was, I will never hear a unique conversation in that voice ever again, right? And so I use that as an example, because we can see that in employment, we can see that in purpose, but though, in my opinion, for me, one of the hardest things to grieve was who I thought I was going to be and who it felt like I had become.
Yeah.
And the only way I found myself coming out of that was as somebody helped me see how what I thought I had become was really pieces helping expose exactly who I thought I was.
Yeah, yeah.
Because who I thought I was hadn't been challenged enough to know that it's not a thought of, or it's not who I think I am, but now it has grown to be who I know I am.
Yes,
And the grief and the trial and the tribulations, the up, the down of all of that was necessary, bro, because you can't uncover and expose what you won't shift. It's just like in the ground, you know, to get to something you're trying to see, you got to shift the dirt. You got to shift the grass. Well, the truth of the matter is I got to shift both the good stuff and the bad stuff to really get down to the root of what's really there. Yeah. And so reflecting on that, I will say I am more confident in who I am as a man today than the confidence that was necessary 10 years ago. Yeah. Right? Because I'm like, then I thought I was somebody. Now I know who I am. And it just hit different. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It just hit different, bro.
Yeah. And bro, I wanna go back for a second.
Go ahead.
Is that like healing, I don't look at it like everybody else look at it.
Okay.
Healing, I don't look at it as a destination.
Because it's not.
Because it's not.
No.
And bro, I got this little thing that I say. I say healing looks like a old scar on your body that has healed up, but the scar never goes nowhere.
No.
But you get to a mental process where you get so used to the scar being there, well, sometimes you forget about it. So it's getting used to the pain and the trauma that you done been through and knowing how to live with it. Yeah. That is healing.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you what that makes me think of, bro. Like, kid you not, it makes me think of how I perceive forgiveness. Because forgiveness is not forgetting what you did to me. True forgiveness is me being able to still think or to see you, to remember what you did to me, and not have the emotion associated with it. So
that's good.
It's like with the scar, it healed, but if I look at it, I still remember how I got it.
You still remember how you got it.
I fell off that bike. You know what I mean? I got hit in the eye with that ball. Right? I remember how I got it. It's funny and make you laugh, just bridging the content into one place. So through my marriage, I have inherited some other kids that they are mine. Like, you couldn't tell me otherwise, right?
No doubt about it.
But they don't know enough of my past to always know kind of like some of your present. Yeah. So I'm talking to one of my boys the other day, and he says to me, "Pop," I say, "What's up?" He say, "How you got that little dash on your forehead?" I say, "Oh, bro, let me tell you what I was doing as a kid." Now I was in elementary school, 3rd, 4th grade, I think, making fun of Stevie Wonder, right now doing one of these numbers, and you know them little metal poles that separate the two doors. Bro, I did one of these numbers, and I'm talking about smack that. I hit my forehead dead into the pole. Yeah. I don't remember what it felt like, but every time I look in the mirror and I see that little mark, I know how I got it. Yeah. And here's the kicker. Not only do I know how I got it, I know I don't ever want to do that thing again. So it's not the feeling, but it is the wisdom the feeling taught me. So thinking about it, like just being transparent, going into a new relationship and having one that didn't work out the way that you wanted it to, you evaluate the decisions that you made in those, and you say, how do I be better? Well, I want to listen more. Like, I kid you not. I don't know if you know this, but in the last, definitely last 6 to 8 months, I've been aware enough of myself to know that I need to I need to be just as intentional about listening to people as I am about wanting people to listen to me. Now, I know some people out there may be saying, you know what, I've been knowing that. That's fine, but I didn't. And it's not that I didn't know it. I consciously knew it. I didn't unconsciously operate in it. So it'd be times I'd be sitting down having a conversation and you telling me something, I'm listening to you, but I'm already waiting for my opportunity to say the next thing, right? Take that into my relationship. Nobody want to be with somebody who feel unheard. Like, I'm talking to you, you hearing me, but you ain't really hearing me because you waiting for your opportunity to say your next thing.
Yeah.
I had to heal in that so that when I go into this new situation, I don't operate in that. And let me tell you this. I had to learn this. It's okay to say that, I'm just being transparent, I had a marriage that didn't work. And it's okay to say we both contributed to it.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants to be the victim, that nobody wants to say, maybe there's not a victim in this story. Maybe it's just the reality. We were immature. We were young. We allowed our disruption and our frustration and our argument to get to a place where this was the outcome. Yeah. Right? And knowing better, you teach better, but moving forward, you do better. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think so many people don't understand, bro, I kid you not, I don't want to be in my 20s and 30s no more. I'm happy to be in my 40s.
Oh, yeah.
Because again, the wisdom I got at my 40s, I learned that the dumb stuff I did in my 20s and my 30s. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I wish I knew then what I know now, but I also understand, that old people used to tell you knowledge and wisdom ain't the same thing, because knowledge is to know information, but wisdom is to have worked the knowledge and know it to be truth. Yes. And for me, I am wiser because what I knew as information, I now know through application.
Bro, I have matured so much to the point where, like, when you talking about when we go on past events and past failures in life, now when I move on, I look at when those moments occur or has in the past, I say this one thing in my mind: it's time to grow. Yeah, because that's exactly what it is. Thanks. When we hit all of these hard, like when you went back to marriage, because you know me as well. Yeah. I had a marriage that didn't work as well. Yeah, but I don't, all of those problems that we had in our marriage and all of that stuff like that, I look at that now with the mindset that I have, that God was saying that it was time to grow. Yeah.
And I accepted it.
And growing sometimes don't look like together. No. Real talk. Yep. This is a part of our journey. Yeah. Because I thank God for who I am today. Yep. And I know I had to go through that to be able to get here. Yeah. Because if I would have still been in that, I wouldn't be who I am today.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah, right? Like, and I think people miss it in the concept of saying, of understanding, there are going to be, you're not going to pass all tests. Yes. Because some tests are intended for you to fail so that you can learn yourself. Facts. And so for me, again, like just chiming back in exactly what you're saying, who we have become is a product of both the things we did well, and the things we did bad, that we got wrong.
Yes, and that's accountability,
right? Bro. I got a question though, because for me, therapy exposed so many of these things, right? But I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna tell you my answer. I'm gonna ask you yours first. What made you want to quit therapy, or almost did?
Well, bro, because we have to understand is that therapy is like a shoulder to lean on. Yeah, facts. In the moment. Yeah. When I'm crying on my brother's shoulder. I'm letting him talk to me. But eventually, I gotta stand straight back up. Yeah. I gotta wipe my face. Yeah. And now I gotta take all of the wisdom that God done gave me, the conversation that my brother done gave me, and then I gotta go walk on my own.
Yeah.
So I feel like therapy is a temporary thing.
Yeah.
We all need it.
Yeah.
We all need to go.
Yeah.
If you ain't been and you going through something, I advise you to go to therapy. But you have to understand that don't turn it into a crutch.
So I'm glad you said that, because I permission, like, not just being straight, right? There was a part in there I was like, hold on, where you going? But I get it, right? I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. I think that therapy has seasons associated.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, when I first started going, I was going every week. Then it went from every week to every 2 weeks. Then it went from every 2 weeks to once a month. Why are you saying that? Because at some point, my therapist is saying you should have the skills to endure the normalities of some of these things. It doesn't mean that new things aren't going to come up. That's why I'm here this once a month. That's also why the relationship is there. Yeah. That if you ever need a random emergency meeting, you know what I'm saying? Go to your little app, chime you in one. I think I'm gonna tell you, I'm a plug, shameless plug. I use Grow Therapy.
Yeah.
Go to Grow Therapy and say, hey bro, I need a meeting.
Yeah.
Bet. Here you go. Chime in. And so I'm saying that because, but you're right. Some people like going to therapy because they like being heard.
Yes.
And they like talking. But when you leave the therapy, you gotta start applying the information they're giving you, or it won't work.
Bro, my daddy taught me how to ride a bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
I failed a couple of times.
Yeah.
He saw that I had it.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't come back out there no more. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that is how you supposed to look at therapy. Yeah. You gotta go. I gotta go back out there the next day, and I gotta take what I learned.
Yes.
And I gotta try to apply it and try to see if it worked for myself. But if I'm constantly running to therapy every time something is wrong, bro, you're not going to get better like that. No. I don't believe that.
No, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So you cannot
because you begin to develop a dependency.
Yeah.
And what's messed up about it is I'm glad that I have a good therapist. Like, I'm just keeping it a buck. I'm glad that I have a good therapist. My therapist is going to give me what's necessary, right? But you have some people out there who keep taking the call because they're going to keep collecting the check. But at some point, they should be telling you, like, okay, we've been talking for 8 months. And 4 of the 8 months that we've been talking, some of those things that we talked about have been repetitively the same thing. Not saying that, I'm not telling you to get over it. But I do need to ask now, are you working the steps that I'm laying out for you? It's no different. Like, not just in therapy. Let's look at a nutritionist. You go and you get a nutritionist because you're trying to be healthy. Yes. The nutritionist says, okay, here are the things to eat, and this is what I want to see you doing as your workouts. But if you don't go and apply those things, I'm spending $500, $400 a month on a nutritionist, but I'm not seeing no change. Okay, now let's ask the deep question. Did you give up the fried foods? No. Did you give up the salty foods? No. Okay, you didn't give up any food. Are you working out? When I can, right? So because you have initiated a partial progression in the doing, you're experiencing a partial progression in the deliverance and in the experience that you need to really grow. And it's crazy because
if God teaches you something, if he gives you wisdom, if you learn how to eat healthy, you know what you're supposed to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. You know what follows that?
What?
Discipline and obedience.
Yes. Thanks.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to. That's what I'm saying. You have to go test it with that. You have to go. You have to follow behind all of this wisdom, all of this good stuff that you're supposed to know. Man, people know that pork give them high blood pressure,
but they're gonna keep eating it though.
They're gonna keep eating it.
You're right. You're right.
Real talk. People know that this girl ain't no good for me. Mm-hmm. But she look good, her sex good, but ain't nothing else is good for me.
But I'm
keep going back.
Yep, you right.
Real talk. You know this dude ain't good for you.
Yeah.
But you keep going back.
Yep.
He whoop on you when he get mad. Yeah, but you keep going back.
Yep. You
Real
right.
talk. So discipline and obedience, dog, has to come behind it.
But here's the kicker though. Because if you can't apply discipline and obedience, the trigger question in the room, and clearly this works for everybody, but let's be straight, a big percentage of what we're talking about is definitely for men, right? If I can't apply discipline, right? And what was the other word we used? Discipline
and obedience.
Yeah. If I can't apply discipline and obedience, am I really maturing? Like, like I gotta ask myself that, because I don't want to be disrespectful to nobody, but you really gotta evaluate yourself, bro. Are you a 30-year-old, 40-year-old boy?
That's what I'm trying to say. Do you love abuse? My daddy had a saying, bro. He said, "Do you?" He must love abuse.
Yeah. Like you, come on.
Instant replay.
Yes.
You keep doing the same thing over and over, bro. That's insanity.
Insanity. Expecting a different result.
Expecting a different result,
No,
bro.
it ain't happening.
Real talk. And people probably wondering, well, how you put discipline and obedience with it? When you think about it, it takes discipline because you got to teach yourself that ain't good for me.
And you know what? Let me tell you something else too, because it's funny you say that. The other thing that you got to understand is partial obedience is total disobedience.
Yes.
So I can't apply only the parts, but then still want to reap the benefit of actually having done the complete thing. Like for me, I kid you not, I had to do the work, right? And I had to go and learn and discover. And I tell you that because I will tell you, in this journey, I've become a better husband, a better father, a better man, a better son. I've become, and when I say better man, I'm not just talking about a better man to other people. I have become a better man to myself.
Yeah.
I've done a better job at doing what's necessary to make sure I'm okay, right? But then not just that, my careers have done better. Why? Because I found that place. I'm not even gonna say that place. I'm gonna tell you what I found. I found my voice. And in finding my voice, I now know who I am, how to communicate who I am, and how to stand 10 toes down flat on who I know, not who I believe or perceive, but who I know at the foundation of who I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? And I will say that a lot of that came from a various of places. Like that growth, that maturity came from a various of places. But one place I will tell you that it was very prominent was when I started doing these podcasts. Yeah. When I started doing the podcast and, you know, sitting on the couch having discussions with my wife or with other people, and you begin to hear other people's opinions, interpretations, experiences, then the things that resonate with where you are, you don't go apply them, you go process them, right? So I would ask you, I will say first, and then I'll ask you. My aha moment was when I did a episode with Ariel Moses, and we were just talking through like what it felt like to be PKs and to grow up in ministry. And it was in that discussion was one of the pivotal discussions for me, because it gave me perspective as a father. It gave me perspective, just like to look and reflect into myself as the kid. But then it also showed me, okay, now where do I bring these two things together to help me become a better man, right? So I lead with that because I want to ask the question, in the episodes that you've done on therapy, which one do you think was a pivotal one for you that sent you back home processing the discussion?
The first one was myself. Yeah. Because I had a chance to release. Yeah. It is one thing to think about how you feel. But to actually really be bold enough to say it to the world. Facts. And then go back and look at it.
So let me bridge there. Let me bridge another one there. Because I remember therapy was the rebrand.
Yeah, was the rebrand.
Before that, you was
I had the cave.
The cave.
Yeah.
What was the pivot?
The cave was something that I was trying to do in the midst of being hurt. Yeah. To occupy my mind.
I got you.
You understand what I'm saying? I got you. And therapy was okay. This is who I am. Yeah. Thanks. You feel what I'm saying?
And I will tell you, even in just being transparent, right? The type and the level of discussions that me and you are able to have as men are very much different than the type of discussions we had when we were kids.
Oh, most definitely.
And I don't mean kids like shooting basketball on the corner kids. I mean in our 20s and our 30s kids, right? Yeah. In our 20s and our 30s, we were trying to make a buck, and we were trying to figure out how we were going to get it. Now, we weren't going to rob nobody, kill nobody, or steal it, but we were sure trying to get it, right? But then, there is a faith and a conviction and a spiritual aspect of the discussions that we have now that we can have today because we've grown into these things. Now, I'm being totally transparent with both myself and you. I can be transparent and say the man I am today is not the final or the finished product of the man I see myself or even desire to become. And so I can't become complacent because I feel like I am better. I am in a better place. Like just using us as an example, I can't say that this is the end all be all of how our relationship will be and try to hold on to it and not give it room to grow and develop and become even more because we are growing and developing and becoming even
every
more.
day.
Exactly. So, but what the problem is, you know, we look at growth and development sometimes, bro, like we look at vacations.
Yeah.
Like we take a picture of the happiest moment on a vacation and we put it on the wall. And even when we're at work, we look on that wall and we try to go back to that moment and just live in that moment. And I don't want that to be the reflection of my growth. Where it's a picture that I took of myself and I put it there and I'm like, that's me. And that's where I'm at. No.
Yeah.
I understand that growth demands and requires more of me. And
your full attention.
Exactly. And even to do this, what we do as both our artistry in it, but our calling to it, right, is that to continuously be true to this, I gotta continuously be being true to myself and growing in myself. What I don't ever want to do is I don't want to ever become an actor at my development.
Ooh, man, I'm glad you said that.
I don't ever want to become an actor in my development. I really want to be at that place in that season when it's necessary to be that person.
Say, bro, I see so many brothers burn themselves out on this mic. I just took about 6 or 7 months off. I got married, of course. You know, thank God for my beautiful, amazing wife that I have today. But I had to take a break from it because I don't believe that you can get in front of this mic all the time, every week, and be able to talk from a place of caring, love, and trying to pour. Because we have the spirit of teachers.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We sponges.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we try to go back and try to give something off from a good place in our heart that'll affect a person, you know, but genuinely.
Facts.
So, you know what I'm saying? We both not doing this for $1.
No.
We doing this because we done been through some things.
Yes.
We want to talk about them.
Yes.
And because we understand how so many other people is going through the same things.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And we are allowing God to use us, you know, to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I see people and they burn themselves out, bro. And I'm like, man, I cannot do that, bro. I feel like you have to be able to go and live and retain more information, go through things and development because it's stages in life. I don't want you to see therapy and just see it on just one thing.
Yeah.
You know, you just seeing it in a place of I'm just constantly talking about this one thing.
Yeah.
And I know people say, man, you need to stick to one thing when you're dealing with this social media, but therapy is not that.
And see,
it's about development.
And see, I fell into the sweet spot, right? I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. Is I get it, right? They tell you in the content space, find your niche.
Yeah.
For me, I've had the sweet privilege of really being able to build two. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean. So on Tuesday nights, I have a totally different group, and it's a totally different culture and an environment, right? It's more geared towards faith-based community culture, right? And it's not textbook but biblical, right? Whereas what we are doing here today is the place where I can just have real, raw, relevant conversation around reality of life. Yes, you're going to see my faith in it because my faith is in me. But it's not a lectoral Bible study, or it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not that. And I think what you're saying, I think it's 100% valid in that you don't want to burn out, and so, but again, also the other way to keep that from happening is this. I once knew a man, and he was a decently well off man, and he said to me, he said, "I'm gonna tell you one of my keys to success." I said, "What?" He says, "If I'm in a room and I'm the 10 in the room, and 10 is the height, is the height of the quality of that room, and I'm a 10 and there's a bunch of other 10s in the room." He said, "I gotta find another room to be in." Yeah. And I said, "Why?" He says, "Because that means everyone's gleaning off of me, but I'm not learning from anyone." He said, and so the objective is to always put yourself in a place to be just what you just said, is to be a sponge. Yeah. So that then people experience or exposed to the runoff of who you are, of what you've of the quality of rooms you've been in. I kid you not.
Bro,
I kid you not, like, you want to be wealthy, but it's not until you in the room with wealthy people that, like, I kid you not,
you start to understand.
The thoughts make sense because you in a room that projects growth. Yeah. And so even when we get on these podcasts, on these microphones, on these channels, and we do the things that we're doing, right, you're getting from us the off pour. But then, like you said, there are still times when I need to hit a reset in my life. Yes. And I need to make family a priority. And I need, because again, as you heard me say early on at the beginning of our shoot, of our podcast, the show, whatever, was learning from some things that maybe didn't go the best as a kid. And for us, right, my dad, me and him talk all the time, and we still talk. Like, me and my dad are super close. Okay, and one of my dad's regrets is, like, feeling like ministry sometimes trumped the ability to be present as a dad.
You gotta do it all the time.
And so
he was doing it all the time.
Exactly.
We come on, bro. We know how your old man got down.
And so he said to me, "Make sure in your life that you do better than me in that place." Yeah. Right? Which is why my children will tell you, like, they don't go to the hospital and I'm not there. Right? That's the extremity, right? But my daughter just the other day had a recital, right? And where was I? In the back of the cafeteria listening to my child sing. Why? Because the ones I can make it to, I'm going to make it. The ones I can't, you got to understand that. But effort is going to be there. But one thing you will never be able to say is, my daddy he wasn't present, or he didn't support me, or the church or something came before me. Like, I try to make sure, excuse me, that I break that narrative for my children, because I understood what it made me feel like. Now, here's what's the kicker. The reason, another part of that though, is it's also being around somebody who is messed up in that place, so that even when you don't see yourself drifting into it, they can call you on it. Because the whole reason we were having this discussion, me and my dad, is because something happened. I can't even remember what it was. Something happened, and, like, I wasn't there. And my dad was like, "Make sure, I get it in this situation, but make sure that it doesn't become a habit, because you don't want your children to think my dad always chose something else over me."
Yeah. Bro, it's a full-time job.
Thanks.
Being a successful, sustainable, healthy man, bro. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. Like seriously, bro. Like, it's a full-time job. And so I cannot be dedicated to just one thing. No. I can't give my all to just one thing. Thanks. I'm consistent to everything in my life. Yeah. Not to just one thing.
No, but I'm glad you say that, because this is not even in our notes of a question, but I'm glad you said that, because as men, we will become centralized on one thing and miss all of these other things.
That's what I'm trying to tell
you. I'm providing and I'm paying the bills and you ain't had to worry about nothing. Yeah, but you say that to a kid and that don't mean nothing. I can give another example. This weekend, my like Friday, my son, my baby, he said to me, "Dad, we going away for a little while for the summer." I said, "Yeah, I know, son." And he says, He says, Dad. I say, yeah, Bubba. That's what we call him, Bubba. I say, yeah, Bubba. He said, let's have some father-son time. He said, let's go see that new movie, Lilo and Stitch. Now, one part of me is like, I feel like you just set me up for the layup. You know what I'm saying? But I kid you not, I take him to the movies, me, him, my wife, and one of the other kids. We went, my daughter Bree. We went, and when this is the first movie. Kid you not, take Bubba to the movies. Bubba gonna fall asleep. If you give him popcorn or some candy, he might stay up, but he falls asleep. It was the first time we went to the movie. We didn't eat popcorn. We didn't have candy because we ate before we left the house. Bubba stayed up the entire movie. Well, on our way out, Bubba grabs my hand. He wants to hold my hand on the way out, and he says, Dad. I say, yeah. He said, you're the best dad ever. Well,
priceless.
Right? Like, if you knew that those moments would build those things, you wouldn't take them for granted at the level that you take them for granted. You know, I don't even know where the money coming from, but I'm already trying to figure out. Bubba talking about, Dad, one day we gotta go to Disneyland. Daddy don't know where he getting it from because it's about 9 of us got to go. Yeah. But rest assured, Daddy is going to figure out how to get him. Why? Because those memories matter. And as a father, my job is not just to say, you had food on the table and the lights bills was paid and the water bills was paid. My job is to pursue the best quality of life I can afford. Now, what I mean by that is you might not make the money to go to Disneyland, but you can take your kids to Bounce Bounce. Yeah. You can take your kids to the trampoline park. I kid you not, something simple. They built a new park in our subdivision. Like tore the old one down, built a new one. And as a family, we went down to the park. I kid you not, we was probably there an hour, 2 hours. They was riding. I'm spinning. Why? Because the memories, and I say that, maybe this is the build up to say this. The negative memories or the negative thoughts, right? You endure them because of the positive ones. Marriages that make it because, yes, we have had bad moments, but we've had so many good moments that when we have a bad moment, I'm able to reflect on a good moment and say, we have more of those than we do of these. I'll get back to that, right? We will get back there. And so making sure that in the course of my life, as I'm making those decisions, that I make the memories that give us the ability to endure the hard seasons or the bad seasons, right? And so as a man, this is just reflecting again, I am maturing in that simply because, and I kid you not, I'm at a season in my life where I'm looking over the ladder of years of my life and saying, I want to make the next 20, 30 of them is even better than those. And so making better, wiser decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But alignment is everything to me right now today. Is just making sure that I'm aligned with everything, because it's like right now I don't even really too much worry about my finances no more. I know I got to go to work, but I know God gonna
take care of his part.
Put me in a position to do all of these things. So my focus is completely off of that, and my focus is in everything that it needs to be in. You feel what I'm saying? All of these, like you said, all of those little small moments that I wasn't cherishing and I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't holding up high. So that's so important to me now, dog. My kids, my wife, you know what I'm saying, my well-being, my mental, you know what I'm saying. Reading, I never thought in a million years, bro, that I would be you know what I'm saying, in love with books the way I am. Because I understand, like I said, it's a full-time job, bro, of just your mental space, bro, and just being happy, and that peace is so important. Peace, bro, in every aspect of my life is so important for me to have, dog. I'm not doing no arguing. If you want to argue, I'm still going to be able to listen to you and be able to say something that's just going to give you enough to make you feel better and make you calm down, because I'm already in a great place, in a great mood. You feel what I'm saying? Like I'm figuring out things, bro, so much easier than I once did, because my emotions is completely out of it, because of peace is so important, bro. For real.
Last question, as we kind of, I guess, come to a wrap up. But, how did you stay faithful in the fog of healing?
Man, grace, by the grace of God, because I can't say that it was like, God gonna put so much on you that you could bear, bro.
Yeah.
We all know this verse.
Yeah, facts.
You feel what I'm saying? But it's so true.
Yeah.
Because I watched God put me in, man, he allowed me to go into some very dark places.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he knew right when I was about to give up.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm saying though is that, God is in control at the end of the day. He knew at the end of the day that I was gonna pick him.
Yeah.
In that dark place.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When my back was against the wall.
Facts.
He knew, and I was gonna return back to his wisdom and his knowledge and the things that he done taught me.
Facts.
You feel what I'm saying?
Facts.
So
And
to answer your question.
And I think the thing, I want to say for sure, is we have got to get to a place where we make ourselves available to the assignments God give us.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is it's somebody sitting out there right now who need to hear you made it.
Yes.
Like as a man, like, and I reiterate the man because, like, I'm just a believer that if the man falls apart because he's the head, the body gonna fall apart too. And so the dilemma here, I say again, is it's a man out there who needs to know that you grew past what you saw as your failures, your shortcomings, that you survived depression, that you've endured the trials and the tribulational seasons to become the man you are today. And people see us and they value who we are, but they're only able to value who we are because the worth of what we are and who we are is in what we've been through.
But bro, if we gonna tell a man the honest truth, and I believe that you can't water it down that way. And I'm not trying to contradict what you're saying. I'm saying if it is a man out there, I want you to know that it's no making it. It's beating it.
Yeah, facts.
I beat what I was up against.
Yeah, facts.
You understand what I'm saying?
Facts.
And I'm continuing to have this type of spirit to beat what's coming.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Facts.
But it's no making it.
Yeah.
It's constantly grinding. It's constantly moving. It's constantly trials and tribulations, bro. It's more potholes ahead on the road.
Oh, yeah. I like how
you feel what I'm saying? Real talk, bro.
Don't water it down to make you think, oh, it's going to be easy.
No, it's no making it.
No,
it's no making it, bro.
No, right.
You know what I'm saying? Keep doing what you're supposed to do. Keep doing right by what God is trying to tell you, bro. Keep beating these situations, bro, these hard times. Keep moving your feet, man. For real. Real talk. That's how you going to get on the other side.
Facts.
For real. But having that mindset of I made it, no, millionaires.
Yeah.
And I hate to say millionaires because all they have is money.
Yeah.
They have the same problems.
Yes.
But all they have is money. But that's in the world that we in today.
Yeah.
We put them on a pedestal because they are financially stable in that type of way.
Yeah.
But if I use that like how the world views it, I will say that even these people have the same problems, and they will tell you is that they beating everything that come against them. You understand?
Facts.
That's the whole mindset in where keeping your peace, bro, keeping everything sustained around you, and when problems come, beat them. For real.
Bro, I don't think we could have put that in any better words, man. Well, man, listen. Let me let you guys know, man. This is the first, but this won't be the last. We're gonna be doing a few more of these for sure. I hope that something was said, you know what I'm saying, that motivates you, bro, just to keep it a buck. Like that motivates you, that gives you something to grab or hold on to say, okay, I can do this, and I'm gonna get up and keep at it. So, man, just keep on the lookout for us, man. More to come in the next season. I'll let you.
For sure. I'll let y'all.